You were an actress.
Yes.
You were doing the Hollywood thing.
Yeah, I was living in Hollywood for about 10 years, and I worked as a child actor. Started professionally when I was about 7 years old.
Really?
Did the whole thing, yeah. Started in theater, worked in New York doing Broadway things, then moved out to Los Angeles and did TV and film.
And so you did that for a while. You were out there for a while. Now you're in Nashville. You're doing Daily Wire commentary.
Yep.
It's a different world, I would imagine.
Completely.
Yeah.
It's a very different world. But at the same time, I think what I love about it and the through line that I found is that it's still storytelling, especially because I do mostly cultural commentary. I am using entertainment as a way to share my values and to, communicate the goings-on of the world, and especially in a comedic fashion.
Yeah.
The entire world revolves around storytelling. We are very much a narrative-driven species. And so even though I'm not, playing a specific character or doing a movie, I am still using, that form of communication to reach people.
So let me ask you this. Did either of the two communist manifestos hit your head? They were thrown at your head.
One did. At a party, yes. I had a couple of friends expose me for my beliefs, basically, with other people at the party. A guy grabbed it. He had it on his coffee table, which already,
obviously,
it's like, as you do.
Where else are they going to put it?
Grabs it and says, hey, you should read this. Chucks it at me, hits me in the head and falls down. The other one was thrown at me on Bruin Walk, which at UCLA is our big, it's where everybody tables. It's like buy a donut for, Kappa Kappa Gamma sorority, that kind of thing. And I think it was like the Socialist Society or whatever, and they were like throwing communist manifestos out. And I was like, again? Really? I was like, are you kidding me?
I mean, it's a sign at this point, I think, and you've been able to address that. So tell me about your experience in Southern California. You're in college as a conservative. That doesn't fit at all. Was it oil and water? What was it like?
Absolutely. For my first couple of years, I was able to, skate through. I didn't talk much about politics, not intentionally. It was just never really something that I felt like I needed to dive into. I was doing, general ed classes. Didn't really come up. When I got to my higher level, I was an English major, so my higher level liberal arts classes, that's when I really started feeling the pressure from very leftist peers, very leftist professors. But even so, I was able to come out still being a conservative. I think I credit that to my family and the fact that I was homeschooled, so I came with a very, very strong value base, and pretty unwavering. But even through all of that, I still, which is controversial in conservative circles, I still believe in higher education.
Really?
Yeah. I'm very academic, and I think if you are academic, if you are an intellectual, if you aspire to, of course, be a doctor, be a lawyer, it's necessary. But I think that there's a big push in the conservative world to say you don't need to go, and obviously you don't, but that people shouldn't go. And I'm still an advocate for, we need conservatives in intellectual spheres. We need those students.
It seems like a bad idea to just give all that turf.
To completely walk away from it, exactly.
I'm generally of the Brian Kaplan mindset of there's a lot, the cost-benefit analysis for a lot of people I don't think is always there.
Yeah.
But I was watching this back and forth about, there was some story that came out about the gender studies issue. It was this USA Today story that came out a few weeks ago, and it was talking about how, some crazy, left-wing nonsense about gender. And so it was about when Ketanji Brown Jackson was asked if she was a woman. And they went and they asked all these experts, well, what is a woman? As if we don't know. Yeah. And they went to gender expert after gender expert, and they all backed up sort of the crazy left-wing view, which was, look, we can't really know, and it means so many different things to so many different people. Yeah. And as I was reading it, I realized they didn't have a conservative gender expert to go to.
No.
Even if they wanted to attempt journalism, which they did not, but even if they did, who would they talk to?
Exactly.
Right? And I think there is that idea that conservatives just leave this battlefield, and then when journalists who might even be looking for honest answers go to ask the experts in this field, none of us are there.
Exactly. And it's kind of like with the culture war, like conservatives have sat in the back seat for so long, and we've allowed the left to take over Hollywood, to completely dominate social media, to dominate basically every large institution. And I'm worried that, we already have lost academia. Academia has been, left-wing for my entire life. My mom was a textbook publisher. She experienced it.
Wow.
But it is another vitally important institution that if we completely walk away from, it's gone. I think that, culture is downstream from academia because it starts there in the colleges. It starts with these philosophers that can, talk in circles and make any 18-year-old believe any of their nonsense. Yeah. They take that out, they spew it on TikTok, and suddenly it's, immersed in everything that we do.
I think you hit on a good a point here when you're talking about the universities. That has been the focus of conservatives for a long time, and that like they will complain about nutty professors and all this crazy stuff that's going on. And I think we've just abandoned that until very recently. The K through 12 situation.
Yes.
You mentioned being homeschooled. I mean, that is, I think, the type of thing that gives you that foundation that you don't get rolled over by every professor when you're 18. Like, how can we change that side of it? You see a lot of people going in, talking in front of these school boards now. That's a big thing. But this is a big problem, I think, for conservatism.
The most important thing in my mind is school choice and funding systems, or funding the students instead of the systems, and giving parents the opportunity that if they want to take their tax dollars and homeschool their children, put them in a private school, put them in a Christian private school, put them in a a Jewish school, whatever they want, they deserve the right. It is the parental right to decide how their children are educated, whatever they see fit. If you want to put your kids in a public school and have them be indoctrinated by nutty second grade teachers, you are more than welcome to. That is your right. But it is immoral to force people to pay for programs that they are, not using, that they do not want their kids involved in. So I think that is the first step. But I'm a huge advocate for homeschooling. I talk about it a lot. I got a comment on one of my videos the other day. It was actually while I was on Tim Pool, and somebody sent in a super chat and said, I've watched Brett Cooper for a while now, and she was the one who convinced me to homeschool my kids. And that was like, I did it. I was
now
like,
you can retire.
Exactly.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah. If I can convince even a couple of parents who, had it in their mind, were nervous about it, didn't know where to start, I mean, it completely changed everything about my life. Like, I would not be who I am if I had not had that incredibly strong foundation, incredibly strong moral, family, academic foundation. So
I think that's great. I feel like there was this, we dropped the ball a little bit as conservatives, particularly through COVID, and that so much of the conversation was about, hey, open these public schools back up. Come on, this is ridiculous. And sure it was. But like, what are we arguing for here? We're arguing to open up the doors to these institutions that are ruining our children. We should have taken that opportunity to turn it more towards school choice. I know Corey DeAngelis, you mentioned, he's great. And talking about that idea of funding the student is so important. And it's the type of thing. We have a lot of unpopular views. Like, I mean, like, as conservatives, we're never the popular one. Maybe you were. I don't know. I never was the popular one. No one wants to talk to me at parties. But, like, here's a view where like 80% of the population's like, we should be able, of course, to send our school kids to whatever school they want, and we just sit on the sidelines. I feel like we're not going on offense enough. Yeah, exactly. And I think I've always said that the one positive thing that came out of COVID, I think there were maybe two, was that parents were forced to see what was going on inside of their children's classrooms. I mean, I feel like these educational issues are the most important issues on the ballot in the coming election season. I mean, we saw it in Virginia, that parents are suddenly, raging and getting involved, and how dare you put me on like an FBI watch list because I'm, speaking in school board meetings. But it forced them to sit and watch on Zoom as their students were indoctrinated, or watch teachers say, don't be in the room while we're doing Zoom because you're not allowed to see what we're doing. BS. Like, you are the parent, you are allowed to be seeing what your children are learning. So I think that was one of the positive things, is it forced parents to have to see exactly what their children were learning in these schools that they're, trusting. Yeah, you had the school education thing and alcohol delivery at home. So you had, those are the two positive things. Delivery margaritas, my favorite.